Hi, I'm Allison Howard. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's yoga video is going to be a Hatha yoga sequence for touch and the tactile senses. So this video is a part of a series in which I cover a variety of different sensory inputs that make up a part of our yoga practice. Today we will be focusing on touch, on the sensations in the tips of the fingers, the surface of the skin, the soles of the feet as we move through a Hatha yoga practice. We are going to be taking an arm balance today, 8-angle pose that requires a lot of gripping sensation in the hands as the rest of the body lifts away from the floor. So I hope you enjoy this practice as we focus on touch sensation in the body as we move through the Hatha yoga practice. If you do, please look out for the other Hatha yoga videos I'll be posting with other sensory modalities. You don't really need any props for this practice, although you might like to have a couple of blocks and your mat. So let's get started. Find a comfortable seat. You can come to cross-legged or sit back, allowing your seat to make contact with your heels. Find a long, straight spine. And if it feels okay for you, maybe bring your hands up to the torso and make contact with the front side of the body with the palms of your hands. Feel and notice the tactile connection between the undersurface of your hands and the front side of your body. Notice how that connection changes as the breath rises and falls. We'll be focusing today on the sensation of touch. Touch sensation occurs all throughout the body. Our hands, our face is usually the most sensitive. But if you tune into the sensation of pressure, vibration from all areas of the skin, you'll begin to notice you have information coming in from all sides, from every surface. Notice the places that your body makes contact with the mat beneath you. How your body grounds down into the surface you're sitting on. And how that surface presses back into the body. If your eyes are closed, you can allow them to flutter open. Take an inhale, open the arms out and up, sweeping the hands and the palms of the hands, connecting with the air all around you, until hands make contact with one another above the head. And then hands come down, pressing into one another to heart center. Take that again, synchronize with breath. Take an inhale, sweep arms out and up, shining the palms through space to make contact with one another. And exhale, press hands into one another and pull them down to the heart. Again, out and up, inhale. And exhale, firmly press the palms into one another and bring palms down towards the heart. Palms here at heart center are pressing firmly into one another. You can gaze down and notice how each fingertip connects with each opposite fingertip. The spaces where the palms of the hands do not connect. Take a deep breath into those spaces. And exhale, release your hands down to your mat. Come to hands and knees. Wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. You can tuck the toes under to find another sensation of touch. So the tips of the toes make contact with the surface of your mat. And notice the texture of your mat. Notice the firmness and how it presses up, radiating pressure into the body through the joints. On your inhale here, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale, round through the spine. Drop the gaze. Notice how the pressure on the surface of the mat is changing as your shape changes, going back and forth from your cow to cat with the rhythm of your own breathing. Doming up through the shoulder blades in cat pose. And opening through the collarbones in cow. And come to a neutral tabletop. We'll begin to take some gentle circles on the wrists, bringing the torso around toward the front edge of the mat, and then from one side toward the back and around. Notice as the pressure changes in each of your 10 fingertips in these nice, slow wrist circles. You can slow it way down to give the brain time to notice all the sensation that is flowing in at any moment in time. At the top of your next circle, pause and reverse the direction, taking those circles. If you were going counterclockwise, now taking them clockwise or vice versa. And again, noticing the pressure on the wrists, the fingertips, the tops of the knees, the tips of the toes. And notice all the places that are not making contact with the mat. The dome portion of the palm of your hand, perhaps, your shins, your belly. At the top of your next circle, pause. Turn the palms of the hands around to face toward the knees. So we have this awkward tabletop position, and I'm going to invite you to take much smaller wrist circles in this direction. If this is uncomfortable for you at all, you can bring the knees closer or farther to create pressure in different places in the wrists. You can also sit farther back towards your heels or farther forward toward the top edge of the mat. Pause the top of your circle and take those circles in the other direction. Warming up the wrists and tuning yourself into the sensation of touch all over the body. Pause here. Flip the wrists. Bring your fingertips toward the short edge of the mat again. Your toes are already tucked. Lift your hips up and back for a downward facing dog. And take whatever length of dog feels nice for you today. I'm going to bend generously into my knees and lift my hips up to the sky. Accommodating a body that's still a little cool, accommodating stiffness, tackiness, resistance. And similarly, you can make space for fluidity, for malleability. So if you like, you're welcome to move in your dog in any way that feels nice to you. But I invite you to notice the sensation of the temperature of the air on your skin, your clothes making contact with your body, your hair, and how it might move with the movement of your body. Take a deep breath into all of those sensations. From here, look in between the hands and walk the tips of your toes up toward your hands and come to a forward fold. In this forward fold, bring your hands behind the back and interlace them so you make contact with the left and right hands. You can leave the hands resting in connection with your low back, or you can press the hands up and overhead. Notice the sensation of the armpits and how you make contact of the body to the body. Allow the palms of the hands to fall back down to the low back. Bring your hands down to make contact with the mat and bend generously into your left knee. Leave your right hand down on the mat and inhale, lift your left palm to the sky. Exhale, left palm down. Bend the right knee, straighten into the left. Lift your right hand to the sky. Straighten, right, bend, left, right hand down, left hand lifts. And switch that out. And exhale, right hand comes down. Take an inhale, take your fingertips and bring them in contact with your shins, noticing the sensation of your own touch on the fronts of your low legs. Take an inhale, bring the shoulder blades down the back, lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, sink hips back toward the ground, reach arms up. Utkatasana, chair pose. Sink the weight into your heels so you can lift the toes up off of the mat. And exhale, sink down to low chair, half chair. Tops of the belly come in contact with the tops of the thighs. Notice the sensation of touch and compression. Inhale, Utkatasana, and exhale, stand. Hands to heart center, palms touch one another. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. And exhale, fold forward, torso touches the thighs. Inhale, hands touch the shins, shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, torso touches the thighs. Inhale all the way up, unwind. Hands touch one another. Exhale, Hands to heart center. Press palms in toward one another. Again, inhale, reach arms out and up. Hands come to touch. Exhale, torso touches thighs. Inhale, hands touch shins, shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, torso touches thighs. Inhale, unwind, release the touch. Hands come together to touch above the head. Exhale, hands down through heart center. Lovely. Bring the hands down to touch the surface of your mat. Step both feet back for plank pose. Here, you can take the knees to make contact with the mat and bring the tops of the feet to make contact with the mat as well. Or you can take this plank with knees lifted. Wherever you are, really grip the mat with the hands. Grip the mat with the toes. Dome up through the shoulder blades. Take all of your fingers and lift the knuckle pads away from the mat as you create a gripping sensation. From here, shift your shoulders forward, bend your elbows in 90 degrees, chaturanga. Lower the knees to make contact with the mat. And exhale, back to child's pose. Notice the sensation as forehead makes contact with the mat. Shins touch the mat. Tops of the feet or toes. Notice the places where the body touches itself. And press yourself up and come to stand at the top of your mat. Standing at the top of the mat, hands can come to hips. Lighten the weight in your right foot and step the right foot back toward the back edge of the mat. Bend into the left knee. Shift right hip forward in space. Bend into your right knee to encourage the right hip forward. Really hug everything here in toward the midline, creating a sensation of touching of the inner thighs even as they are separated from one another, as if there were an invisible line down the middle of the body and both inner thighs make contact with that line. Take an inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. And exhale, bring the palms of the hands to make contact with one another along that midline. Notice the sensation of your clothes on your skin, your hair on your head, the temperature of air on your body, the tongue inside the mouth. Exhale, hands come down to your hips. Step your right foot forward about a foot, straighten into the left thigh. You can clasp opposite elbows behind the back or interlace the hands. Inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, hinge at the hip. Bring the belly down toward the left thigh. Notice the gripping of the toes on the mat. Take an inhale. Back of your heart space guides you back up. Release the bind and step your right foot behind the left toward the top of the mat. Take an inhale, reach both arms to the sky, and exhale, forward fold. Hands can come to your legs, to the mat. If you have blocks, you can bring them in contact with the blocks. Notice the intensity of sensation and fold forward to a place that feels sustainable. Take an inhale, back of the heart space, guide you all the way back up. Hands overhead, right foot comes to the right of the left. From here, lighten the weight in your left toes. Step your left foot back toward the back edge of the mat, Crescent Lunge. Right hip nudges back. You may bend generously into the left knee to square the hips. Find the sensation of hugging everything in toward the midline of the body, as if inner thighs could touch an invisible plane that comes right down the middle of the nose, the navel, and right between the inner thighs. Take an inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, hands touch on that midline. Notice again the temperature of the air, movement of air around the body. Hands come down. Step your left foot in about a foot, straighten into the right thigh. Find a bind for the hands behind the back. Clasp opposite elbows. And notice how the left and right sides make contact with one another in whatever arm bind you have chosen. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward. Right belly touches right thigh. Grip the surface of your mat with your toes. Breathe. Inhale, back of the heart space, guide you back up. Release the bind. Left foot steps behind the right toward the top of the mat. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands make contact with the floor, your shins, or a prop. Crown of the head hangs heavy here, not making contact with anything. Inhale, come all the way back up to stand. Left foot comes to the left of the right. Hands come back down through heart center. And come down to sit on your mat. Sitting bones touch the floor. Pull the flesh of your seat away from those sitting bones. The soles of the feet touch the mat. Lean back in space toward the back edge of your mat. And from here, you can lighten the weight and lift your feet up and off of the mat. Hands come straight out in front of you. Cross your left foot over the right, and now take your palms of the hands and shine them around toward your left. Inhale, come back through center. Release the cross of the feet and cross your right foot over your left. Twist around into the right. Hug inner thighs into that invisible midline. And inhale, come back through center. Release, come to a seat. We're taking that same basic shape in 8-angle pose. Okay, so from here, you're gonna pivot around and bring your hands to the outsides of your hips. You can mirror me or you can take the opposite side from me. Both hands are on the outside of my left hip here. I'm gonna take my right hand and I'm gonna bring it underneath my left knee. And I'm gonna cross my left foot and ankle right over the top of my right foot and ankle. So I bring those into contact one another. From here, both hands gripping the mat as strongly as they can, I will lower my chest down until it makes contact with the mat. Now you can stay right here and lift your feet up and off of the mat. You can also use the strength of your arms, really strongly hug the forearms in toward the midline and lift your hips up and off of the mat for 8-angle pose. Hug both thighs in toward one another. Really grip the forearm of your right hand, of your right arm with the thighs. And exhale, lower it down. Let's take that to the other side. So again, I'm not mirroring you. You can take the opposite side from me or you can take the same. I'm coming around to angle my right hip toward the camera. My hands come down to the mat. My left arm underneath my right knee. I really strongly grip my left arm with my thighs. I'm going to cross my right ankle on top of my left, so I make contact between the tops of my 2 feet. I can lean myself all the way forward and make my chest make contact with the mat. Or I can take that same position, really strongly hug my forearms in toward one another, lean forward and lift my hip up and off the mat. Ashtra 8-angle pose. And exhale, lower that down. So whatever version of 8-angle pose that you came into today is not the most important thing. The most important thing is challenging the mind and the body and noticing sensation. Bring your legs out wide, wide, wide. And the backs of the thighs may make contact with the floor beneath it. They may not, and that's fine too. Shine the toes up toward the ceiling, and then bring your hands in between the legs, and you can walk them forward any amount. It may be in your practice to lower very far down. It may feel much more comfortable for you to be in a higher setting. Whatever feels nice, allow the spine to round. You can drop the crown of the head down toward the mat. Notice again the points of contact within the body, where the body touches itself, and where the body touches the world around it. Take an inhale, press the palms of the hands into the floor, and walk those firm palms back toward the body. Soles of the feet come to touch. Notice the sweetness of the left foot and the right foot making contact with one another. Bring your thumbs down to the arches of the feet and make really generous, sweet contact with the bottoms of your own feet. Massaging tenderly your own body. You can work into the big toe ball mound, the baby toe ball mound. You can work into all of the toes. And then curl into yourself here. Just allow the spine to round forward. Take an inhale. Your back guides you back up to a seat and come to lay all the way down onto your mat. Hug knees in toward the chest and hook your first two fingers around your big toe. Hug the knees in toward the armpits. Bending into the knees, bending the elbows for happy baby. Release contact with the toes and the fingers, and slowly lower the legs all the way down to the mat. Lying completely on the back. Choose to either bring the palms of the hands to the surface of the mat, or to shine the palms up toward the ceiling and notice the points of contact between the backs of the hands and the ground. Notice the places where the arms, the back, the backs of the legs, the heels of the feet, the back of the head, all make contact with the ground beneath you. Feel the grounding force that pulls you in toward your mat. And notice the lightness of all the spaces that don't make contact. Take a nice inhale. Notice how the clothing shifts on the body. Exhale, feel the breath inside and outside. Again, take an inhale. Notice the shift of clothing on the body. And on your exhale, can you feel the movement of air both within you and on the surface of the skin outside you? As you're ready, roll over to either side. Bring the side body in contact with the floor beneath you. And press yourself up to a seat. And I thank you so much for practicing Hatha yoga for touch and the tactile senses with me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.